So hi everyone, welcome to the Preparing to Graduate Successful Strategies for Upper Year Students presentation. My name is Nagarsh. I'm an academic advisor in the Office of the Registrar, and joining me to co-present this is Suan from the Career Center as a career counselor. So we'll just get started. Um, so first, some housekeeping rules. So first and foremost, this presentation is being recorded. It'll get posted to our video library, so you'll have access to it later on if you need to refer back to something we discussed or just wanted to review it. And then some general tips. So first, make sure that you're muted on your devices. If you have any questions or want to make a comment throughout the presentation, feel free. You can use the chat function to do so. With questions, though, we do recommend waiting until the end of the session, just because it might get answered in the presentation. If you have any tech issues or require some tech support, please use the raise your hand feature, and one of the staff members will reach out to you privately to assist you. Because we are in a group setting too, just be mindful of any questions that you ask. Make sure there's no personal information. So no student IDs, student numbers, no user IDs, anything like that. And then lastly, just do your best to minimize any sort of distractions. So you can turn off notifications, closing any tabs or apps that are running, putting your phone on Do Not Disturb if it has that function. Other than that, we can get into the presentation. So some objectives we have for this presentation, what we want you to take away, firstly is understand how to confirm your degree and your program completion. So doing those degree checks, determining your next steps for graduation, and then also identifying possible options for after graduation. So after you leave UTM, so whether that be job searching or if you're looking to pursue further education. So the first step is your degree and program checks. So the way you can do a degree check and the way that the advisors will look at it as well is using Degree Explorer. So when you log into Degree Explorer, hopefully you've already been using Degree Explorer, but on Degree Explorer, it'll show you the current status of your degree. And what we look for is that beside all of your degree and all of your program requirements that you have either pending or complete beside each one. So complete means you've already satisfied that requirement. Pending means that based on the courses you're currently enrolled, so long as you successfully complete, meaning you successfully pass those courses, that requirement would change to complete. If you see any incompletes, that's when you want to take a look at the specific requirement that's listed as incomplete, see why it's listed as incomplete. And that's, if you do see an incomplete, that would be an opportunity to connect with an academic advisor, either in the Office of the Registrar, or if it's more towards your program requirements, you could look at connecting with your program advisor as well. So if it was a requirement for your economics major and then your geography major as well, you would connect with the respective department advisor to figure out why it's listed as incomplete, and then also make any changes to your winter term courses so that you can satisfy the requirement and still be on track for spring 2026. For the winter term, you still have time to make adjustments. So that's why it's important that you do the checks now to see if you do need to make any changes. An important note too is if you are waitlisted for a course in the winter term, Degree Explorer won't include waitlisted courses in the current status or the current assessment, but you can use the planner tool to see if I'm able to get into this course, would it satisfy this requirement for my degree or for my program? And you can plan that way. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to connect with an advisor or just to be sure, or you can attend one of our drop-ins as well. So this is an example of what Degree Explorer may look like. So as you can see, there is one status that when it's complete, and then the pending will say that all of the requirements are pending, so the overall degree is pending. A question we get a lot is about the status bar. So the status bar is not as proportional to how far you've completed your degree. So you notice for the one that's pending, even though the degree is pending, meaning it will be complete so long as the student completes or passes all of their courses, it's still a little far from the end. So don't stress too much if the bar isn't showing complete. Go based off the actual requirements and the actual status. So with your degree, what degree you get is determined based off of your programs and whether you're doing sciences, arts, or for the BCom if you're doing one of the commerce streams. So for example, this student is doing a major in geospatial data science, a minor in comp sci, and then a minor in business science entrepreneurship. Because these programs are all sciences, the student would be receiving an honors Bachelor of Science. If a student is doing a criminology major, a French minor, and an economics minor, these programs are all arts. And so the student would be receiving an honors Bachelor of Arts. If a student is combining science and arts programs, so if they did a CCIT major, which is arts, and then a comp sci and statistics minor, which are both sciences, they would have the option to select if they want to graduate with honors Bachelor of Arts or an honors Bachelor of Science. The same would apply if the student was doing a major in a science program and two minors in the arts programs, or if the student is doing a double major with one in science, one in arts. So in all of those scenarios, you'll have the option to graduate with one or the other. So how do you actually request graduation? This gets done through Acorn. So you'll notice on Acorn, there is a section, I believe it says graduation and convocation. This is where you would submit your request and confirm your intent to graduate, to let us know that you want to be included in the graduation list for spring 2026. Right now, it is not available for spring. I believe it'll open up sometime in November. I believe it's on the important dates page, but it'll open up and then goes till usually end of January. And so sometime in that request period is when you want to submit and confirm your intent to graduate. When you confirm your intent, at the end of the winter term, the Office of the Registrar and the academic departments will do a review of your degree and program requirements to make sure that you passed all your courses and that you're still on track for your degree requirements and your program and can graduate in spring 2026. So first step is actually submitting the request. It won't matter when you submit it, so long as you submit it within the request period. Next would be updating your name on Acorn, so making sure it's spelled correctly. If you change your name, need to make any changes, make sure you do that well in advance of graduating so that the name that's getting printed on your diploma is correct. We have a personal information change form that's available on our forms website. So if you notice you do need to make the adjustment, all the instructions are there. You can just follow those. You also want to make sure you update your mailing address, clearing any fines or fees. So if you have tuition fees, if you have financial holds from the library, from rentals, from the HCC, you want to make sure those get cleared. Then, and all of this information is on our graduation checklist. So that link right there is the graduation checklist. You can either copy the link as is, or if you look up UTM graduation checklist, you'll be able to find it. Right now, the details and the dates that are listed are for the fall convocation ceremony, but it's a good link to bookmark because once fall convocation happens, it'll update for relevant details for spring 2026. And then lastly, if you're interested in getting grad photos, this process is managed through the UTMSU or through the student union. So we have the link provided there. Again, if you look up UTMSU grad photos, you should be able to find the information. But all of that is done through the student union. So now we are going to look at some caveats. And so with caveats, we're looking at what could impact your eligibility to graduate. So first thing is if you miss a deferred exam. So if you had a deferred exam scheduled, and you ended up missing it and now need to petition for a further deferral, this could impact your eligibility to graduate as you wouldn't be completing the requirements, or you wouldn't be completing the course. Another one would be if you have an alleged academic offense or an academic integrity case. So if you have a GWR in one of your courses, this would impact your eligibility. Again, any outstanding fees or financial holds. If you're studying elsewhere, either through a letter of permission, through study abroad, through an exchange, and you're waiting for those credits to transfer back, and if the process is taking a little longer or it's not completed in time, or if there's some issues with the documentation of when it gets submitted, anything like that, those can be a little tricky sometimes. And if they don't get processed in time, this would impact your eligibility to graduate. But in any of these cases, once they are resolved, then you would be eligible to graduate. It's just things to be mindful of. So another thing to consider is delaying graduation. So a question we get a lot, especially for students who are interested in pursuing further education, is can I delay my graduation? Should I delay my graduation? Should I take another course to raise my GPA? I'm interested in grad school, whatever the route may be. If can I take a course in the summer and graduate in the fall instead? You can do that. So if you have completed all your requirements and wanted to use the summer to take an additional course or two just to bump up your CGPA and then request graduation for fall instead, that is an option. There is an alternative option as well. As UTM alum, you can come back and take courses after graduation as a non-degree student. So with non-degree students, you would take courses as normal. They would appear on your transcript still and would still contribute to your CGPA. They just wouldn't be contributing to a program or to a degree. So this is also an option for students. With the non-degree students, the caveat is that you wouldn't have access to the same policies that the degree students have. So if you were looking to take a course in the summer as a non-degree, you wouldn't be able to apply credit, no credit, for example. Or if the course you want to take, you're actually repeating and you've previously passed it and we're hoping to apply second attempt for credit, that's also not available to non-degree students. So those are things to consider when you're deciding, do I delay? Do I come back as a non-degree? With that as well, for students who are graduating in the spring, you might actually be satisfying or only taking fall term courses and satisfying everything by the end of the fall term. But you won't actually get a degree conferral until after your convocation ceremony, which would be the spring 2026 ceremony. But if you need it for employment purposes or again, further education purposes, sometimes you need proof that you're eligible to graduate. We do have a letter that you can request through Ask Registrar called the Eligibility to Graduate Letter. So once you've confirmed your intent to graduate on Acorn, that's when you can submit the request. Essentially, the letter will confirm that you've either completed or are in progress of completing all of your degree and program requirements and have requested to graduate at the next convocation ceremony. So the last thing to consider, so sometimes students, you may have noticed this on Degree Explorer, as part of the honors requirement, your CGPA needs to be at least 1.85. But for students who meet every other degree and program requirement except the CGPA, the question we get is, can I still graduate? There is an option for students who have met every requirement except the CGPA, but their CGPA is between 1.5, which is the minimum to be considered in good standing, and so between 1.5 and 1.84. So if you are between that CGPA, you do have the option to request to graduate without the honors. So if originally you were going to graduate with an honors Bachelor of Arts, you can request to graduate with a Bachelor of Arts instead. Honors Bachelor of Science would become Bachelor of Science, and then for our BCom and BBA, it would just become a Bachelor of Arts. This would just get requested by submitting a ticket through Ask Registrar. So you would just let us know that you want to graduate without the honors instead. And students who opt into this option, they can return later to UTM to upgrade to an honors by getting their CGPA back up to 1.85. So this is an option should you find yourself in this situation. And lastly, just reviewing some of the resources that we discussed. So academic calendar is a great resource, especially for our different policies, the graduation checklist, the Office of the Registrar website, the grad photography from the Student Union, and the important dates page. So again, the important dates page is where it'll be listed of when you can actually submit your intent to graduate on Acorn. I would also add Degree Explorer. So if you haven't gone on Degree Explorer, please do um, log in and do that self-assessment. And if you have any questions, do reach out to academic advising. I believe the next one, I'll pass it over to Suin to take over.
Thank you, Nigarish. Nigarish explained thoroughly for the important part for preparing to graduate. My name is Suin Park. As she mentioned, I'm a career counselor at the Career Center. I hope this session is a little bit useful for all of you for preparing to graduate. So to take your next step, this is our Career Center career model. And the main goal is to identify at least one short-term needs or goals or starting points for your career journey, or identify at least one long-term career needs or goals for your career journey, and hopefully decide on at least one next step to take to reach your goals. So key message of the UTM Career Center model is not meant to be a linear or circular process. This is a dynamic way of thinking about career development. So there's no right place to start. You are in the middle to reflect and decide. So making a career decision can seem complicated and overwhelming. Whether you're in the first year or final year, use this model to learn about the 6 areas of career planning and relevant career resources. If you're feeling a little bit unsure, call 905-828-5451, our career center, or visit us in person at the Student Services Hub, main floor, Davis. We can help you take the next step forward. So the UTM Career Center is committed to supporting all students through your career development journey. This model recognizes the complexities of careers for people with diverse identities and needs. So we hope to teach you also how to fish instead of feeding you fish. So I actually omitted that picture here, but actually that's very important notion for you to be empowered to actually learn how to do that career development on for the lifelong journey. So next slide, please. There are a lot of factors to consider when choosing a career. So this slide is the wheel for your career decision-making process. There are internal and external factors. So this wheel is from Edmondson and Pownell. It is reproduced with full permission with the authors as well. So there are so many factors to consider when you make a career decision. Internally, your skills, what you're good at, and values, what is very important for you, and interest, what you like or dislike, and also personal style. And externally, labor market, what's out there, an educational background, work and leisure experience, and significant others. So that's very, very impactful factors for influencing your career choice. Next slide, please. I'm not going to talk more about that. And we are talking about graduation. So now that you are graduating, what's next? It's not only a great question, but it is also a session. Both drop-in and workshops are available on CLNX. First drop-in right after this session is October 20th, 3 to 4 p.m. We shortened the time to 1 hour at the Student Service Hub's Cove. I don't know if you know the Cove. It's main floor of Davis Building by Canaf exit. So it is alternatively, if you cannot find it, check in with the Hello Desk at the Davis Building for support with wayfinding. No registration is required for all the drop-in. So for example, medical school or law school drop-in and all the drop-ins are available on CLNX. And the workshop, it will be the first workshop after this is November 5th online via Zoom. Sometimes it's in person, but this time it's November 5th, 3 p.m. online via Zoom, and also it's on CLNX. So the learning outcomes will be to identify your needs, whether it is your job search, networking, or further education, and any other career services. To learn about transitions, how you can manage your transition and goal setting as well, the strategies, and get Career Center resources and supports. Next slide, please. Here's the QR code. I put the link in the chat. I put that link. I'm gonna put the link in the chat box, by the way, just in case if you can see the link of our events, or you can just use the QR code. Okay, I'll put the link just in case. Okay, so next slide, please. Considering further options. So consider options that match your career goals, interest, finances, and energy. There are lots of ways. So there are a variety of further education programs for various career goals. For example, academic masters, research-oriented programs building on undergraduate studies, coursework, and thesis under the supervision of an established academic. For example, Master of Science in Molecular Biology or Biology, or any other master's program. That's academic master's. Another master's is applied master's. This is course-based programs that may integrate independent research and practicum placement, so practicum or internship. So Master of Public Health or Master of Public Policy, those things. Professional schools, some programs that provide educational requirements to register and practice in a regulated profession, such as medical school, right? Teaching, law school, psychology, psychotherapy, you name it. So those professional schools can provide educational requirements to register and practice in a regulated profession. Some post-grad programs, 1 year or less, it's a full-time course, intensive programs for graduates, providing industry-focused skills and knowledge. Oftentimes, a practicum placement is part of these programs, for example, GIS technology or human resources management. So continuing education as well. And I took one as marketing certificate course. I don't know if it's continuing education or professional development course, but once you are in continuing education, it's very flexible, part-time, usually online courses. And a lot of online courses are offered for those who are working and want to develop marketable skills and advance in their career area. For example, project management certificate or project management designation, right? Another thing is professional development courses. Those are licensing bodies that provide strategic certifications, such as the Canadian security courses or real estate sales license. So many careers require further learning, further education. Masters and professional schools are good, but I want to emphasize other options as well. So consider options that match your career goals, interests, finances, and energy. Of course, energy level is also important, and that's related to your physical health as well. So there are postgraduate diplomas and certificates, such as paralegal, project management certificate, as I mentioned, and also industry-based certifications such as Canadian security courses. Another thing is LEED certification, Leadership in Energy and Environmental Design certification, is a globally recognized standard for green building, verifying a building's sustainability and performance. It's a third-party certification process. So continuing studies programs and micro credentials, that's also available, for example, marketing and communication or life science enterprise. So next slide, please. Here's tip sheet or QR code, and I'm gonna give you the link anyways, in the chat box again, because the tip sheets, not just this one, every other tip sheet is also very important, especially if you can see informational interview or any further education and further, even it depends on where you're going, law school, medical school, or teaching. Wherever you're going, you would like to find the really short and concise answer. So every summer we are actually updating the tip sheet, so you can feel free to find out. And next slide, please. And as I mentioned, I'm a career counselor. What do they do? And first of all, think of career clarity. Consider your strengths, what you're really good at, strong at, right? Values, what's very important for you and your life and career. And also weaknesses. What am I good at? What am I weak at, right? Weaknesses to improve and interest, what you like and what you're comfortable with. So ask yourself, what were my reasons for considering this program or a career? And how do these reasons connect with who I am? Are there any other careers that are more suitable for me? Make an appointment with a career counselor to explore the multitude of options possible with most programs. So research, try on, talk to people in that career, get real, even real related experience as well, and even volunteer and job shadow as well. So think of career options in your mind and ask yourself, are there any entry requirements? Is that too costly? Or would other careers be a better fit? That is what you need for clarity. So career clarity is very important for you to pursue your career goal. If you did not have a career goal in your mind right now, meaning you're not so certain, you're uncertain. That's actually very natural and, usual case, and use what you're interested in and are good at in your programs and courses as clues. Do the same research, reflection, and assessing the fit for you. So gain clarity. Clarity allows you to express why something is right for you. If you cannot fully articulate a choice, then you may need to improve clarity. So it's important for convincing employers for your job search. And also in terms of further education, you need to articulate why you need to be there. Everything is available to you. Use the services, meet with a career counselor to discuss what your career and education options are after graduation, and also get the support when you're applying for further education, such as personal statements and CV critique and application process. So next slide, please. What about employment strategists? Actually, I'm the only one who did both. So employment strategists, do they do? Job search planning, interview skills, and networking, both in person and online. So, where do I find work and how do I interview successfully? How do I make meaningful connections? Those are the questions you might want to really think about. And then, if you really need those job search help, you might want to book an appointment with employment strategist. So, next slide, please. We have got your back. So recent graduates are eligible to use Career Center services for 2 more years after graduation. So if you're graduating next June 2026, you're going to have 2 more years. So until June 2028, right? So that's actually 2 years after graduation. So you can feel free to book an appointment or drop in or come back for workshops. So finally, next slide, please. Job profile. So we actually always do labor market information. It's fastly changing. Finally, labor market information is also important. So the future of the job growth rate wise, here's the QR code for the job profiles on the government labor market information site. A lot of occupations are growing, but usually from 2020 two or three for more than 5 or 10 years, occupations with above average occupational outlook include nurse practitioner, physical assistants, data scientists, occupational therapists, and medical health services managers. Those are top five fast growing occupations for now. However, you can develop your career opportunities while you're at the UTM. So, for example, work study positions and on-campus positions and UTM positions as well. And also while you are studying, you can even develop your career opportunities. So, next slide, please. Now we're going to think about what skills are employers looking for. Employers are looking for active listeners. So we always get the job fair or employer info session and then ask employers what kind of skills they are looking for from the students or new grads. Active listening, critical thinking, also people who can solve complex problems, and individuals with technical proficiencies, for example, coding. However, these days, how to distinguish ChatGPT and how to prompt in the right way, etc. So you are not going to be avoiding to deal with ChatGPT or AI. You're going to actually learn how to prompt in the right way from now on. So next slide, please. Next slide is another QR code, upcoming events and dates in terms of what's happening this fall and winter at the Career Center. You can attend all three campuses events. You're also going to find a number of URLs on the following slides. So please take a screenshot of them or write them down if you're a speedy writer, because they will be super helpful over the next few weeks or months. So throughout your entire degree. So there are many, many challenges that many of us can be facing, including time, finances, identity, academic issues, and accessibility needs. And every person is unique, and the Career Center wants to help. So you can set up an appointment with us if you want to discuss your individual circumstances. To book an individual appointment, you can just walk into the DB second floor Student Service Hub or email. I'm going to put the email in the chat box as well so that you can actually quickly note it. In the chat box, I put careers.utm@utoronto.ca. So you can email us for career counseling or employment strategy appointment. So those are 1 hour. Career counseling intake is half an hour, but from the follow-up appointment, it's 1 hour. Personal statement and CV critique is 1 hour, but 3 times per semester per person. However, you can also book via CLNX, self-book for resume, cover letter, LinkedIn critique, as well as practice interview. There's another practice interview tool, which is called Big Interviews on CLNX as well. So next slide, please. Finally, online services. What's important is that you know that wherever you are in this process, there are people here to help you. Career Center for Career Counseling, try the career decision profile to get a snapshot. It is 5 to 7 minutes of snapshot, a very short assessment of where you are at in your career and what next steps you can take. Instructions for that in the alternative program guide and for academic advising resources here too. So thank you so much for your full participation, and I hope to talk with you soon.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I
and
would still.
Nigaresh will continue. Yes,
Thank you. Yeah,
thank
so
you.
just to highlight some of the resources that the Office of the Registrar has. So we have the main link to the registrar's website. It's a lot of research information. If you have any questions or are looking to connect with us, you can always submit a ticket to Ask Registrar. So even for a degree check, you can submit a ticket requesting that. We also offer academic advising drop-ins. So we have our office hours that are hosted Monday and Wednesdays. And one I want to highlight that we do joint with the Career Center is we have our academic and career joint drop-ins. So there's always a career advisor there, and there's an academic advisor, and sometimes we have department advisors joining us as well. So it's sort of your one-stop shop to talk to everybody you need to connect with. All of that information is on the drop-in website. I believe our next one is October 21st. So if this is something you're looking to get started in, that's a great place to start. And other than that, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you learned a lot. And we'll sort of transition into the Q&A. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat.